This is Johnny with TigerBomb MMA, and today I'm going to go over UFC 314 Volkanovski versus Lopes, Chandler versus Pimblett. Going to have a new featherweight champion of the division. I'm going to go over these very quick, just coming back from vacation. Previous card did very well, only got two wrong, technically speaking, and did pretty well. Money-wise, I got 4 units on it. I'm going to break that card down very, very quickly because I just want to talk about one particular fighter who's an absolute retard. And before I do that, after I do that, I'll go straight into these predictions and break them down real quick. But in regards to Emmett versus Murphy, nothing too out of the ordinary, right? You know, everyone who was more or less supposed to win won. A nice plus money on Reese McKee. I got some good money on that. It had a Diana Barbosa parlay submission / inside the distance. I don't fucking remember, with Chang Ho Lee to win. Very nice. And then I did something really fucking stupid, and I live bet Lerone Murphy at like minus 375. I put like a G on it, and I thought he was up at the very minimum 3 rounds already. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. Like it's a 4th round. I think he got it in the bag, and then it's starting to seem like it's going to be a split. And I'm like, oh shit. But it is what it is. Got my money out of that. But for the love of God, what the hell was Joe Anderson Brito thinking? Throwing kicks to Sabatini? It's like they had a mutual agreement that Brito was going to leave his brain in the hotel room. Like, what the fuck was that, Pat? For as chinny as he is, if you give him an opening, he will do that to you. So if you add the plus money on Sabatini, absolutely props to you. I did have a parlay with Brito with KO, but, you know, it didn't pan out. It is what it is. But let's get started on this card here, which would be, again, probably one of the best cards of the year. When you're looking at the talent on this card, it may not, pop off, indicating that it's going to be a good card, but it's pretty solid, even with the first fight of the night, like the return of Haley Cowan, who is plus 160. All hail Haley Cowan, who I think, honest to God, only got to the UFC because, the way she looks. She's a pretty white woman, and Dana White really likes his pretty white women. And now she's fighting a French whore in Nora Cornolle, who's minus 190. Now, the unexpected is the biggest issue I have with this fight, especially that minus 190 on Cornolle. French kickboxer. She's tough, good elbows. She's been fighting more active, fought better competition. Jacqueline Cavalcante fought her twice, arguably. I love saying the word arguably in this case, could have beaten her. She didn't, but, being in France, you could argue anything you want. But in this fight, I am worried that Haley Cowan, who is the rightful dog, to me, it's a dog or pass. I know I've seen people wanting to bet Cornolle or have already bet her, said that they are she is the best play. And I don't necessarily disagree with the momentum going more or less her way. She should win this fight. But Cowan hasn't fought in 2 years. She did not beat Jamie Lynn Horth, who now we know is not quite UFC level. She is a very athletic woman. She has good kicks. I know she's kind of big for the division as well. She's 5'8", highly athletic, kind of cheerleader type. I don't think she's got that kind of dog in her. And that's my biggest worry with her. Why I think she might be a good plus money play, if you want to kind of dab on it, is because I am expecting her to try to grapple. And I think she can have a lot of success wrestling Cornolle because she's not really known to be a grappler. I am going to pick Cornolle, but it is 100% for me a dog or pass. Like, I don't have the balls to pick Cowan just because, again, the 2-year layoff, not really showing me from her previous fights. Like, I thought this girl was losing to like Brittany Cloudy. She lost to Brittany Cloudy, and that gave me the confidence to go all in on Jamie Lynn Horth when I bet her. So Cornolle by decision. I think it could be very close. It could be very gritty. But I think Haley Cowan is a pretty decent dog because I do think she can bank at least 2 rounds just kind of laying on top of her. I've been seeing her on Instagram, not because of, she's a pretty woman and I want to see her in a bathing suit, but because I wanted to see what she's been doing in these last, 2 years. And I've seen her do more jiu-jitsu, and I'm expecting that from her here. But I cannot trust her. Next bout, we've got Tresean Gore versus Marco Tulio. Give me Tulio by knockout in the 2nd round. All right, Tresean Gore. Man, I don't know what to think about Tresean Gore. Like, his chin seems to be a bit weak. He has been mixing in takedowns more often. And his guillotine game is at least something you have to be respectful of. But a guy coming out of shoot to box Diego Lima and Marco Tulio, he should be easily able to handle Tresean Gore, but he's minus 355 over Tresean Gore being plus 280. Being a middleweight, the improvements of Gore could really show themselves here because Tulio, I'm not 100% sold on him. He should not be this big of a favorite, but I understand why he is. It's uncharted territory where I would not bet Tulio in this spot, prop him up. Fight does not go the distance. I do expect that Tulio will finish Gore. Again, Gore's not a guy that I would trust to have like a solid chin. If this guy's getting dropped by like pitter-patter shots from like Cody Brundage, and for fuck's sake, I just cannot trust this guy. Tulio hits hard. He's a maniac, but he does leave himself wide open for counter shots. So if Gore can be very smart and just kind of pick his shots correctly, I think he can probably snipe Tulio. But again, the experience of Tulio, the athleticism, just the camp that he comes from, I expect him to handle business. And afterwards, you know, him and man, lucky piece of shit with big booty power over here, Norma Dumont. Like, I would expect Norma to be like, you knock out this, you know what, ending in ER, and I give you that ass. So yeah, give me Marco Tulio by knockout in second round. Sumadarji, flyweight versus Mitch Raposo, minus 225 on a guy's on a 2-3 fight losing streak. Mitch Raposo 9-2, 1 fight losing streak, but he arguably lost to one of the best fighters in that division in Andre Lima, and that was also a split decision. Which, when I was on the plane trying to watch these fights, when that fucking bitch of a stewardess was giving me all this sass about like, internet's not gonna work. And I'm like, bitch, I need to see Andre Lima fight to cash this bet. And I saw it was a split decision for Lima. I'm like, how in the world was that a split decision? Is Mitch that much better than I thought? And no, he's not. He is not as much better as I thought. It's just that the judges were absolute idiots. Mitch is at plus 185. Fascinating play, right? I think he can contend with guys in the flyweight division, but I don't know if he can contend with like the top level dudes. And Sumadarji, the thing about him is that I hate the phrase he paid his dues, but I think he's paid his dues. The problem is that price tag, it's just indicating that we're going to get that young hot prospect that when he first came out into the scene, knocking everyone out with that left hand. I think he's much better now, but we've also seen the ways to beat him. You take him down, you hold him down, you try to work the submissions on him. Mitch is a well-rounded dude. He is kind of on the shorter side, significantly small with his reach, and I just think that Sumadarji, he needs this win, and I just don't think that Mitch is going to be able to get close to him to try to work his grappling. And at this point, Sumadarji's wrestling has improved, his counter wrestling. And the fact that he gave me a scare against Charles Johnson tells me that this guy has definitely gotten to the level where, you know, you can kind of trust him a bit more with this lower level competition. I think they brought in Mitch on short notice for a reason. They don't necessarily want him in the UFC. I don't think he's going to be a guy that is going to be able to beat really anyone over like maybe a Felipe Lima, perhaps. Is that his name? Felipe Lima, the guy who just fought Loner Kavanaugh? Like, he might be able to beat him, but that's even pushing it. So give me Sumadarji to win this one by a decision. I don't think he'll put himself in any bad position where he's going to like try to get the knockout early, because at that point Mitch can try to counter. Mitch has some decent power for the flyweight division. He's a solid guy, but give me Sumadarji to have a measured, I need to keep my job kind of victory here. Next bout, we've got Sadiqris Dumas versus Mikhail Olekseijczuk. Mikhail, minus 205, training at the Fighting Nerds, which is great because it's nuts when a dude beats your ass and then you say, hey, you beat my ass so nice, I want to go train with you in Caio Wahalio. And this guy's saying, like, I'm in the best gym in the world, and I don't disagree with him when it comes to that kind of like game planning and cerebral thinking, because Mikhail's always been talented. He's always had good boxing, and he's just gritty. This guy has fought and beaten much better competition than Dumas. The issue is Dumas is kind of a athletic guy, and he can make do with those athletic features, but I don't think he's a very good UFC fighter. I think he's a very good regional fighter. He's long, he's tall, he has semi-good boxing, but this guy is a huge letdown. I thought he was going to do a lot better. I saw him fight in, like, I believe it was Game Bred Masvidal's like MMA promotion, and he was looking pretty solid against solid, regional competition. And then he comes into the UFC, and you see the holes in his game. Like he's having, Cody Brundage, forget about that. Like that was a mental break for Cody. But like the fights with Abu Azaitar, he should have been able to handle him. He's just not putting stamps and emphasis on those strikes to make sure that he's winning these rounds. Nur Sultan, I'll excuse that fight. I don't want to get into the whole controversy behind it, but it's still a solid guy that can knock him out. And Dennis Tululin, this guy, he beat Dennis, but he should have finished Dennis. Like Mikhail would have fucking destroyed him. I think Mikhail is going to come in here smart. Again, another guy who needs a win. The minus 205 is just ridiculous. I'm hoping there's people who are like the biggest underdog of the week is Dumas, because whatever fucking reason, I don't know, like, Mikhail can't take head kicks and Dumas has solid head kicks. I don't know. I don't care. But Dumas, not the best striker up close. I don't think he's smart enough or has that kind of IQ to kind of throw elbows up close when Mikhail crashes into him. His jiu-jitsu's not going to be as better as Mikhail's. Not to say that Mikhail has good jiu-jitsu, but I think his defense is better. I think he's just a better fighter, and he should get the knockout within, say, the first 2 rounds. I think Dumas is it's a little too late for him. You got to treat him with baby gloves, and I guess what's the phrase here? You got to treat him with like kid gloves, and it's too late for him. He's 29. He's almost 30. If he was like a 23, 24-year-old guy, I'd be like, yeah, give him some time. He'll develop. But dude's nearly 30. And his well-roundedness is not where I need it to be, at least for Mikhail, despite him not having a plan B. His plan B is usually like the second hand. Plan A, plan B. So give me Mikhail by knockout second round. Julian Erosa fighting Darren Elkins. Darren Elkins plus 300. A 40-year-old featherweight. The guy still got it, but he takes too much damage. Julian Erosa minus 380. Even I'm not fucking stupid enough to bet Julian Erosa at this spot. He is another guy that in his most simple layup of fights, he will 100% find a way to make it too close. That not Jordan Peterson. That what the hell's his name? Ocho Peterson fight. He should have handled him easily, and it went to a split, I believe. And it was back and forth. They're both getting rocked, and I worry about that in this case. I still think Julian has him beat everywhere. I think he can knock out Darren Elkins. I think he can submit Darren Elkins. I think he can cut him with an elbow or a knee and finish him that way, doctor stoppage. And that's what I'm going to pick. But betting-wise, nah. Like, I'd rather enjoy this fight, just let it happen. The odds themselves are just too ridiculous at this point. I might end up playing something live, depending on how I'm doing early, because at this point, I've just kind of started, I ain't tracking my fucking bets anymore. Like, I'm not trying to sell myself to anybody. I'm just here to make my money. I'm here to tell people what to fucking bet. And it's been working for me because all I do is live bet. It's just like, oh shit, much easier, a lot easier. And I've been doing really well with that. And in this fight, I kind of want to see that first round. I want to see if Darren Elkins takes down Julian Erosa and controls him. I think that's his best shot, obviously, but Julian's got some shit off of his back. Yeah, he's not trustworthy. Plus 300 on Elkins. It seems like a trap to me. Like, oh yeah, like he might be able to like, fuck, what is he going to do to Erosa? Like, it's really what Erosa's going to do to Erosa to lose. Give me Erosa second round TKO. Next bout, Chase Hooper versus Jim Miller, minus 700. Inside the distance, Chase Hooper. Let's see what that is. Let's find out, because minus 700 on Hooper is not the play. And at this point, Jim Miller, I as much as I love Jim Miller, the plus 500 also seems like yeah, you can take a shot on it. This is a very tough guy in Jim Miller. He's still got the goods, but the way Chase has been fighting lately, minus 175 for Hooper inside the distance. What is Hooper by sub? Minus 105. TKO plus 500. The plus 500 is delightful because Jim Miller, he's going to be able to defend the subs at one point. I think Chase is going to want to get that sub. Subbing a guy like Jim Miller, impeccable. But the plus 500 TKO, I think it's worth a shot. I will still pick Hooper by sub, rear naked choke. You could say that in the fight with Guida, that Guida was able to defend well, but it's not really Guida defending well that I wanted to see in that fight. It was Chase Hooper taking him down and controlling him there. Like Chase was able to flow very nicely on his back, take the back multiple times. Chase Hooper's striking looked a lot better. He looked more comfortable. He was able to like bum rush and get takedowns. It was a good look for Chase Hooper at this point. And Jim Miller, tough as fuck, but he's taking a ton of damage. I wouldn't be surprised if Chase is able to drop him with a punch and maybe finish him with strikes. That's my biggest thought. Like Jim Miller, trying to submit Jim Miller is going to be pretty tough. Not to say it's impossible. At this point, Jim Miller, he's going to have to put on a great performance against a guy who is much younger than he is. To me, much better at jiu-jitsu than he is. He's just a lankier guy. He can get subs that Jim Miller just won't be able to get. And on top of that, a guy who is, at this point, has a better chin, better gas tank, and just the length, I think, is going to be way too hard for Jim Miller to get past. So give me Chase Hooper. I'm going to say submission round number 2, but I will be eyeing that TKO prop. Next bout, Virna Jandiroba versus Yan Xiaonan. I'm going to take the plus money on Yan Xiaonan by a decision. I think Virna, in my mind, Virna's wrestling improved enough for me to feel comfortable against Yan Xiaonan after going back and watching tape against Lemos. Those takedowns were shit, like they were awful. She was just bum rushing. The biggest concern for Yan Xiaonan, luckily there's plus money on her, but the concern is, although she's been at Team Alpha Male forever, she's not really known to have the best takedown defense. I think it has improved. I think it's going to be good enough to stop Virna's takedowns, mainly because of her footwork and her reach and staying on the outside. That combined with, getting underhooks and shit, I think it's going to do her well. If she gets on her back, I do think she can survive enough, maybe for the round to end. But again, round number 2 would start if she doesn't get subbed, and say round number 1, footwork, movement, kicks, safety. And I think Jan can do that. I think, again, she just fought the champion. She just fought Baby Shark, where Baby Shark wasn't able really to do anything. She looked good there. They aren't too far off in age. It's not like Virna is out here fucking like 25 years old now, finally learning how to wrestle. No, she's a 36-year-old girl. Last fight, she had 2 fucking knee braces on, and she was bum rushing Amanda Lemos with her head down. Give me Yan Xiaonan on this one. I think I like the idea of Virna more than Virna herself. The idea of Virna getting the takedown is old, beautiful, fuck. But what if she can't get it? She's going to look god-awful on the feet. She's awkward on the feet. And we know Yan Xiaonan's game is to stay on the feet and just start fucking throwing kicks and punches. And the movement, similar to the Josh Emmett fight and Murphy, if you cannot set up punches and all you're doing is chasing and you can't do anything and you can't get takedowns, it's going to look pretty pathetic. So give me Yan Xiaonan to beat Virna Jandiroba. Next bout, we've got Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson, a great fight. Dan Ige, 50K, plus 135. The comeback on Woodson is minus 165. Now, here's what's nuts about this particular fight. The idea of Dan Ige is always a good idea, right? Dan Ige's tough. Dan Ige just went toe-to-toe with Lerone Murphy, who went 5 rounds with Josh Emmett and beat Josh Emmett. He knocked down Lerone Murphy. The issue with Dan Ige is the dude's 18-9. He's a 500 fighter. He's a great fighter, right? Don't get me wrong, but he's a guy who historically loses the second round. He kind of just lays off the gas for a bit. I don't see, unfortunately, how he can beat Sean Woodson. Sean Woodson, although I'm not a big fan of Sean, what he does well is what he does well. He keeps his range. He's a tall dude, significantly longer reach by 7 inches. His takedown defense has improved. His offensive wrestling has improved. His chin is still kind of iffy because, you see that Saldana fight and the way he reacted to it. It's such an anomaly that you're just still hoping like maybe Dan can land a punch. But how is he going to land a punch? Is he going to Superman uppercut him? I don't know. Like Sean is just so defensively good. And with the height reach advantage, it's going to be really tough for Dan. I think Dan's going to be shooting, and I don't think he's going to be able to get Sean down. I think it's going to be very awkward. his best chance is just to kind of dog it out and maybe try to get a split decision here. As much as I like Dan Ige, I mean, I love me some Dan Ige. Man, if I hear that Dan Ige's wife is pregnant, I'm going all in on the Ige knockout, because anytime, like I said it before, he knocks her up and then he knocks him out. Historically, this dude will knock out anybody in the planet if his wife is pregnant. It's just whatever that maternal fucking juices that come from the wife, you know what I'm saying, just powers him up. So if that's not the case, I think Woodson will take this one by decision. If he can finish Dan Ige, holy shit, I don't see that happening, though. Sean's not really much of a knockout artist. He did get one against Padilla, which I did not see coming. So we'll see, but give me Woodson by a decision here. Next bout, we've got Nikita Krylov making his return after, 2 years to fight Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes plus 165, Krylov minus 195. The automatic thought is, let's fade Dominic Reyes, right? Even I initially, when I heard about this, was like, oh, let's fade Dominic Reyes again. I think that's not the right play. I think Dominic is, at this point, he should be the rightful favorite. But we're getting value on him because he's getting underestimated. He's been knocked out viciously on a couple of occasions. But the thing about that Dominic Reyes and the Dominic Reyes now is that he has 2 wins under his belt. He's got his confidence back, and he's not really fighting a guy known to knock people out. He's got good submissions, but Dominic Reyes is still very athletic. He's still got something left in the tank. And I think if you were to compare Dominic Reyes to his run early on to, say, Nikita Krylov at that same time, I would still take Dominic Reyes to beat Krylov. Krylov is a guy who, even himself, he's a very well-seasoned vet, but I've seen this guy kind of pull stunts himself, so I can see him getting knocked out here. I can see Dominic Reyes just putting on a clinic on the outside. And ultimately, yes, Krylov can knock him out. And the way I do see him knocking him out is if he can catch him with a sneaky head kick. Like, Krylov has some beautiful kicks, but the way he's been fighting lately, it's mostly grappling, and I think Dominic can handle that. So give me Reyes to win this one by a decision. I think it's not going to be the most exciting fight. I think Krylov is going to come out here looking rusty, and I think Dominic's going to be landing the cleaner shots. And if he can get a knockout along the way, that'd be awesome, but plus 165, just money line, I like Reyes in this spot. I think this is one of the, not the easiest competition. He's fought the easiest competition with his last fight against Anthony Smith, who I cannot wait to talk about him when I actually have a full day to do tape and haven't been traveling, because I will be going to see him live for his retirement fight. But man, Krylov, I'm curious about Krylov. Let's just say that. I think Krylov might be able to look horrible here. Next bout, main card, featherweight bout. We've got the debut of Patricio Pitbull in the UFC. He is plus 165, come back on Yair Rodriguez, minus 200. And it pains me to say this because I don't want to talk too much about it, because I do love me some Pitbull, but I'll say this. If you don't know who Pitbull is and you haven't seen him, if you're just a UFC guy and you've never watched Bellator, let me tell you about a Jeremy Kennedy. Jeremy Kennedy, solid guy, but Patricio Pitbull at any time should have been able to handle Jeremy Kennedy. And although he did finish Kennedy, and you might say, hey, look, Jeremy Kennedy just went to a split decision with some fucking undefeated Dagestani Russian, and he fucked him up in the first round, and he got quote-unquote robbed. Whatever. That might fuel you to think maybe Patricio still got it. Like, he fought a guy like Jeremy Kennedy. But then again, let's assume you don't know who the fuck he is. Solid guy. Incredibly strong dude. Very good wrestling. Very good grappling. Hard hitter. But he's 37 years old. I think his best days are behind him. And as much as I fucking hate Yair Rodriguez with a fucking passion, the minus 200 might be a gift here. He's going to be the faster guy, the taller guy, the kick advantage. Like, damn, like everything is in Yair's favor here. Yes, he did get beat by the likes of Brian Ortega, but Patricio's not going to be able to do that to him. He's too stubby for that shit. Volkanovski was able to TKO Yair Rodriguez, and let me tell you, I rewatched that fight multiple times, hoping like Patricio would do that to him. They're about the same size, you know. It ain't gonna happen. You know, Patricio's durability has just significantly waned. His speed has significantly waned. This guy's got some great, like, Henry Cejudo-esque More or less, Henry ripped off his style, the little karate style and shit. But at 37 years old, I think his best days are behind him. For them to give him Yair Rodriguez is kind of a disservice to him. They should have given him like a nicer layup, but it is what it is. I think Rodriguez is going to get back on track here. The younger guy, the faster guy, the more dangerous guy at this point. But you better believe I am rooting. I could have a fucking 10 G's on Rodriguez and I'd still be rooting for Patricio deep down in my heart. You know what I mean? Like just a little bit. Like it's almost like I deserve it. Like I deserve to be punished for picking Yair Rodriguez essentially, but that ain't gonna happen. Moving on, we've got Bryce Mitchell versus John Silva. If you did not see the intro to the fight, to the show, I already got a John Silva shirt made. Minus 335, a little ridiculous, okay? Plus 260 on Bryce Mitchell. You know, we all know what we're thinking. Like, is Bryce Mitchell going to try to take him down and control him, or is John Silva just going to be like, I brought up that one meme that we keep seeing, like the low IQ guy, which is like John Silva knockout, and then the midwit guy who's like, well, Bryce Mitchell's fought the much tougher competition. He's got the wrestling background and the jiu-jitsu ability to hold down John Silva. John Silva being 3 inches shorter than him, it's going to be really hard for him to get off from the bottom, and I think Mitchell can actually maintain top control for at least 3 rounds to win this unanimous decision win or possibly get a submission. So decision, submission, prop, or the high IQ guy, which is John Silva knockout Burr. And that's what I'm going to go with. I think John Silva, he's too athletic. He is too hard of a hitter. And I want to get into a little bit and spend more time with Bryce, but this is not me picking Bryce just because it's a popular thing to do. It's not because of that. You know, it is popular to say fuck Bryce because of the whole Hitler shit. And me saying that, it's probably going to make sure no one watches this fucking video, but I don't really give a shit. With the whole like, oh, Hitler this, Hitler that, it's really popular to shit on Bryce Mitchell. And here's the funny thing about that. Like, taking any opinion from Bryce Mitchell seriously ever is fucking stupid. I don't give a shit what he thinks. I don't give a shit what any of these fighters think. I just want to know how they fight. Bryce is a very good fighter. Bryce is more than capable of winning this fight. He has the ability to do so. He's got the wrestling ability. The thing that I am just more confident in right now is John Silva, right? John Silva has that aura to him. You know, he's talking shit to him. Bryce is already kind of, you know, giving the vibes of like he's not mentally quite there yet. Like if John Silva starts barking at him, will Bryce literally just start praying to himself and think like, oh my God, he is possessed by a demon? Is he going to be like having doubt? You know, I don't want to think about that shit. But with John Silva, what I know about him is that he is going to go out there and try to hurt you. There's a very bad misconception about John Silva that because he points to the ref saying he's hurt or saying, why should I follow up, that he's a nice guy. He is not a nice guy. Okay, with his fight with Arman, he drops him, and then he's like, he does that shit. He points down to the guy because he doesn't want to keep fighting. He's like, I'm done fighting, but if you want me to kill him, I'll kill him. So people were saying, oh, he hit him to the body, so he doesn't have to give him any more like brain damage or anything. Because like, brother, Arman got hit so fucking hard. When he hit the ground, he was in fucking awe of what just happened. He's like, what the fuck just hit me? He had no idea what happened to him. I've never seen someone get hit that hard. Like, I've never seen a guy get hit that hard with an uppercut like he did to, what's his name? Can't think of his name. Not Dober, but Jourdain, where he's like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then he goes and attacks the body with some of the most vicious elbows I've ever seen in my life. That's the real John Silva. He's there to hurt you. And I think he's going to do whatever he can to hurt Bryce Mitchell. He's already kind of made it personal himself, and I think he's going to come out here and try to knock him out. His style of being like so elusive and bouncing up and down, him knowing that there is a wrestling threat, and that's the thing about the Erosa, or not the Erosa, I'm sorry, the Jourdain fight that people are maybe misunderstanding is that he got taken down in that fight because I don't think he was expecting to get taken down. And now that he's aware of that, like Drew Dober wasn't necessarily a guy that was going to try to take him down. And Petrosian, or not Petrosian, but Bagdasarian is not a guy that was trying to take him down. Did I call him Arman? Melsik Bagdasarian. That's who I meant. Melsick is not a guy that's going to try to take him down. So in this fight, he's aware. He's going to have all the correct techniques to try to deter Bryce Mitchell from going in. Bryce being taller, he's going to have to duck way down to shoot for a takedown. John Silva's going to be meeting him with uppercuts and flying knees. And if he hits him with a flying knee, Bryce will hit the fucking deck. And that's what I'm going to predict. It's going to be a flying knee within the first 2 rounds that's going to knock out Bryce. And again, it's nothing against Bryce. It's just, I think at this point, John Silva with his camp, they got this in the bag. They know what to expect. I saw those pictures of John Silva wearing those wrestling shoes. An athletic John Silva knowing that he's going to have to counter wrestle. This is not a Pat Sabatini versus Joe Anderson Brito type of fight. I don't think John Silva's that stupid. I think John Silva is crazy, but he's not fucking stupid. And I don't think Bryce Mitchell's the kind of grappler that Pat Sabatini is. Pat is very good. This guy literally prides himself and puts his fucking credentials on his LinkedIn. Bryce Mitchell doesn't even know how to use the internet. Give me John Silva by knockout in the first round, flying knee. Next fight, we've got Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. Plus 135 for Chandler, come back on Pimblett, minus 160. It pains me to say this, but I got to be as real with everybody as possible, with myself, with people watching. I love Michael Chandler. I love Michael Chandler so fucking much. Like, he's one of my favorite fighters. Even meeting him was like a delight. You know, meeting the guy at Noche, super nice guy. Like, he gave me time. He talked to me. He wasn't like, oh, hey, whatever. He was like, hey, how you doing? You know, not the standard shit when you're meeting a dude. Like, he was actually invested in what I was telling him, which was awesome. And that's nice to have. But it pains me to say that I think Paddy's going to submit him here. I think it's going to be the second guy to submit Michael Chandler. As much as I think Chandler can bum rush Paddy, at this point, Paddy has shown the ability to contend with the higher ups in the weight class, you know, at least to a certain degree. Like, he's number 11 in the world at this point. And you can say, who has he beaten? It's not really who he's beaten, it's how he's beaten them. You know, you can say, well, the Jared Gordon fight, whatever, it was what it was, but Jared Gordon's got that kind of style to just kind of hold you there. Michael's not really that kind of guy. Michael does have that kind of knockout power, but is Michael going to try to get to the ground with Paddy and try to, you know, survive down there? You know, when you look at Michael's catalog, this guy has gone to the ground with some of the better jiu-jitsu guys like Brett Primus, Yoichi Yamaguchi. But when I saw that he got subbed by Dustin Poirier, you know, previous Michael Chandler would not have let that happen. Yes, he did not get subbed by Charles in the second fight. I just don't think that's the same kind of Charles. I think Charles was out there just trying to like maintain control. It was a 5-round fight, and he just could not submit him because he didn't do enough damage to him, or he didn't necessarily put Michael in any real threat. And on top of that, he didn't really play the guard game much with Michael. If he takes down Paddy does have some of the better back, guard game in the UFC. The way he can flow from a guillotine to a triangle choke to an armbar to taking your back, he's got legitimate jiu-jitsu. If this becomes a fight where Paddy gets tired, then it could get a little, fishy. But I do think at this point, Paddy has 100% kind of found his rhythm in the UFC. I do worry about the gas tank, but at this point, I do think Michael Chandler's best days are behind him. As ripped as he is and as explosive as he is, I think Paddy is just at this point on the higher trajectory. I think at this point he's still got, how can I put this? I think Michael Chandler has dipped a bit in quality while Paddy has jumped up enough to be able to beat Michael Chandler at this point. But I do think he will be the second man to actually submit Michael Chandler. I think he will definitely attack, take the back. And with the type of submission game that Paddy has and the ferociousness of his strikes, I think he's going to be able to, club and sub him eventually. And it should pains me to say because I love me some Michael Chandler. But give me Pimblett, second round submission. Next bout, main event. Alexander Volkanovski, minus 150. Diego Lopes, plus 125. I will say and I will admit, Well, I'm gonna go with Lopez, but what I will admit is that I completely fucked up and did not get the plus money on Lopez. A plus 125, it was there. You know what I'm saying? It was there, and I was like, I'll do it a little later, and I just never got around to it. Like the whole travel shit, like I had to pack and plan and shit. I never really got a chance to go to the casino and place my bet on him. So I'm like, fuck. So I can probably get plus 105 on Lopez, but yeah, it kind of sucks for me. I am taking Lopez by knockout in the second round. And why I'm taking Lopez, right? Volkanovski is a phenomenal fighter, excellent champion. What I come down to is how is he going to beat Lopez? Well, he is a great striker. Volkanovski is. He's got good wrestling. He's a fantastic, well-rounded mixed martial artist. He's one of the best in the world. Still is. I think that Volkanovski can contend with anybody. The thing that I have the biggest worry is with Volkanovski's, age and the fact that like he has been knocked out twice in a row. And not to say that, oh my God, he got knocked out twice by number one of the most vicious head kicks I've ever seen, and number two, one of the hardest hitters in that division. So hard of a hitter he is that he knocked out a man that is impossible to knock out. I'm not going to hold that against Volkanovski. It's not that like, oh wow, he got knocked out by Ilia Topuria, the man who knocked out Max Holloway. What a fucking chinny punk. I don't think that's the case. What I do worry about is Volk's never really had like a absolute solid chin. He has been dropped. He has been hurt before. You go back to Chad Mendes fight, he got dropped by Chad. And what it comes down to for me is that am I really going to side with Volkanovski, who is, again, I think he's the much better guy. I think his game planning, there's a clear way to beat Diego. Now, if this was Diego versus Ilia, I would take Ilia to beat Diego Lopez, no fucking problem. Especially at minus 150, I'd jump all over that. And the reason is Ilia has the firepower to really hurt Diego. He also has the wrestling and the grappling to keep him on the ground. The way you beat Diego is to kind of beat the will out of him. You got to take him down and hold him there and make sure you beat the jiu-jitsu out of him. What Diego's been doing as of late, man, has been incredibly impressive, though. And when you say, I'm going to pick Volkanovski because if Diego gets tired, or if Diego this, or if Diego that, or if Diego doesn't do this, I don't like that kind of thinking at this point. If Diego doesn't do that, if Diego comes out here and he fights smart and then he lands a big shot when he bum rushes Volkanovski with his hands have just gotten so much fucking better. His boxing's gotten better. His counter wrestling's gotten better. We know his jiu-jitsu game is devastating. It's ferocious, his jiu-jitsu. I don't expect him to get tired here. This is the fight he's been waiting for. It's tattooed on his chest. Dream, believe, and make it happen. And I think he is going to make it happen. I think this is his time to show that the work he's been putting in has been paying off. The way he stuffed and hurt Sabatini, that's an even better look now because the way he was able to like keep him away from him. He's a big, strong boy, and he's got massive power to match. And I think with Volkanovski, is he going to try to pitter-patter kickbox with him? He's going to have to stay defensively sound for 5 rounds. I don't see that fully happening. If Diego lands a big bomb on him, is he going to go out cold, or is he going to get wobbled enough for Diego to jump on him and take his neck? I don't give a shit who he trains jiu-jitsu with. If Diego gets him locked in on a choke, this is not going to be a fight like the Brian Ortega fight, where he beat the shit out of Brian and an exhausted Brian tried to sub him and he got out of it. It was a tight choke, but if Diego gets him fresh, that's going to be it. He's not going to get out of that. So I give me Diego Lopez to win this fight. I say by knockout in the second round. Volkanovski is a phenomenal fighter, and God bless him if he wins this fight. For real, like I don't doubt the man's ability to win. I doubt the path to victory, I suppose, being that is he going to really take down Diego and hold him there and tire him out while he doesn't get subbed or get reversed or get his knee ripped off or get hurt from the bottom? Is he going to block every punch that Diego throws at him and make him miss and make him look foolish. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think at this point, Diego, if he wants to go for a takedown of his own, he can definitely do so. I think, again, this is Diego's moment. This is his time. Is he going to be the best UFC featherweight champion? I don't necessarily believe that. But is he going to be the UFC featherweight champion? I can buy that kind of stock. So give me Diego, second round knockout. I am more than excited for this fight because, again, I love Volkanovski. It's just, it happens to every champion. Like, they eventually have to ride off into the sunset. If he keeps fighting, I think he can beat some top level competition, but with the signs of that durability waning, I cannot trust him in a spot where I can actually get plus money, hopefully, on a guy with massive power and a higher finishing upside. Now, if Diego does get tired, Volkanovski plus money, possibly live, gets on top of him. I've seen Diego just kind of flop and not be able to do anything off of his back. I think that Diego's dead, though. I think this is the new version of him, the more complete version, and the guy who's going to be champion. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Again, Johnny TigerBomb MMA. I will catch you in the next fight.